Hi everyone! So it's been a while since I've posted a new unboxing for you guys on this channel, and I tried filming this a few days ago, but initial footage wasn't so great and I decided to redo it when I had some time. So here I have JUN's newest solo album he released in Korea. Before I get into what it looks like inside, I wanted to do a quick size comparison to his previous Korean solo albums, because I really just like how consistent they've been with the size of his packaging. So if you go back to when he released his first physical album in Korea, Mr. No Heart or No Love, or however you want to call it. So mine is actually signed to promo CD, which is why you see the signature here and a slightly different Comcast sticker. But we have the same sort of packaging, which I think is kind of neat. In that you have this slipcase covering sort of a book type packaging. And with the slipcase, this goes vertically up and down while this one slides horizontally. So it's a little different, but overall the size between these two are basically identical. And he also released a special album in Korea after Mr. No Heart, and it doesn't have a slipcase, but it's the same exact size, kind of rectangular square as the other two. The only, I guess, other obvious difference is that this has this kind of plastic protrusion coming out of the iconic No Love heart. So this is more difficult to store on your bookcase because you can't just stack it up easily with your other albums. If you're afraid it's gonna do some damage or something. But it is a nice kind of display piece if you want to highlight this album. And then lastly, we have his second Korean mini album, which is a box type packaging. So slightly different, but it is the same size as all the other albums, basically, which is cool. And so now we have his third Korean solo mini album, 20 Minutes. And I really like how clever this sort of naming is when it comes to this album. You see on the wristwatch here, the time is at 1:40, and so it's 20 minutes till 2 p.m. And there's some other kind of fan theories about what 20 minutes really meant. And it's reference to a line in My House, which had its kind of resurgence this year. If you look at the back here, we have 7 tracks, and the whole track list takes about 20 minutes. So I think it's a very kind of aptly named album with a lot of good references to its meaning. So I'm just going to take off the slipcase here, and here you just see the same image, but instead of the X-ray version, you see the sort of drawn version with the same information displayed on the back here. So inside this album, we have the photo book here and the CD, which again has a really nice design with this clock sort of look and the time showing 20 minutes. Now, I'm really happy that Minjun was able to release something else this year. After his military discharge earlier this year, he was supposed to have a comeback in Japan and do all these solo tours and whatnot, but sadly that didn't happen, just given the circumstances of the world, and most of 2PM's music-related projects in Japan are closely tied to concerts, which is I think where they make most of their revenue. So they decided to delay that and release This Is Not Its Song digitally, both in Japan and Korea. So I'm glad that we have 20 minutes here with 7 songs, 5 of them being new, whereas track 6 and 7 were on his No Time album, which was his last release before his military service started. But yes, I'm just happy that we finally have some more 2PM material. And Kim and Jun always just delivers when it comes to really good music. And I'm just gonna flip through the photo book here. So we have sort of photos with lyrics, and a lot of these initial photos are kind of blurry, but not all of them. And you have this sort of female figure. It's also kind of mysteriously in the distance. And here we just have more close-ups of him with some artistic shots that look sort of like x-rays. And then some more kind of drawing-like photos. So it sort of goes with the outer packaging of the album. And I really like this photo shoot. Especially towards the end where they have more of a cityscape view shown. And another important thing to note before we close this photo book here is that JUN produced his own album, as per usual. And also all of the tracks, for example, Home here, all the lyrics were written by JUN, and he composed all the songs except for the title track, which is here, and translates to 30 minutes, might be too long. And so here we have actually JYP was the first one listed for the lyrics credits. And the composers, you might recognize some of these names. They've worked with a lot of other artists, especially a lot of SM artists. So it was interesting how this ended up being his title track. But at the end, I'll discuss more my thoughts when it comes to all these songs and sort of how the promotions are going for this so far. But first, I wanted to share what the posters look like. So I'm going to share a clip of what those look like. This is what one of the posters looks like. This is my favorite of the two. And the other poster, which I'm not really sure why they chose this image. It's really blurred, and the female is more dominant than Minjun, which seems like an odd choice for a poster. But, you could get either this one or the other cityscape one randomly if you pre-ordered. And next, I'm going to talk about the photo cards you could get in this album. So when it comes to photo cards, you are guaranteed to get this postcard here. And the album also comes with one random film strip. So you'll either get this version on the left or this version on the right. So I've already put these in binder sleeves already. But that's what it looks like at the back. And for photo cards, the album came with 2 random trading cards. So you would get 2 of these 8 cards randomly. So that's what these look like. And if you pre-ordered this album, it also came with a set of Polaroid cards that look like this. So most of the official shops are giving out these photo card sets during pre-order. And Minjun's also doing a video call event at various different stores throughout this month. And each of those, when you apply during a certain time period for the video call event, you get a participation photo card with that. So there are 4 of those so far, and I have a feeling there's going to be at least one more. But I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens towards the end of this month. And at the end here, I'm just going to talk about the songs and some thoughts I've had regarding this whole album, as well as the promotions for this release. So it's no surprise that I love all these songs. I tend to really enjoy JUN's solo of music and songs he writes and composes. And this album is no exception to that. Earlier I showed what his other Korean solo albums are, so in comparison to those, I really like this album. I'm not sure if it's my favorite release he's done in Korea yet. I really like his special album, and that might be biased because that does have more songs on there, and it has some of my all-time favorite songs that he released in Japan with Korean versions and remixes of those songs. So I might slightly lean towards this album here. his special album. But 20 minutes is a really good showing too, I think, and a really great release after his long hiatus and the lack of promotions we got for This Is Not a Song digital release. And I guess to expand upon promotions, and as I mentioned, This Is Not a Song, his digital release, didn't really get any promotion at all in Korea. And I think fans were just sad that we didn't get a whole album that was initially planned for Japan at the beginning of this year. But I'm really pleased with what Vision One has been doing when it comes to promoting 20 minutes here. So I thought all the teasers that they released initially to highlight all these songs, and also doing a live highlight medley for the entire album was a really smart move. And I think it really generated a lot of interest into JUN's music again. I know from the hottest side of, say, Twitter, everyone seemed to be really excited and really looking forward to this album with all the teasers. And I think this album definitely delivered on good quality music that JUN is known for. And also the live event that he had that sadly it looks like they're not re-uploading was also a lot of fun to watch. I stayed up to 3 in the morning to watch that, and no regrets. The live version he performed of 30 Minutes Might Be Too Long is amazing. I've replayed the clip that they uploaded to the 2 p.m. YouTube channel multiple times. I think anytime JUN sings live, it just always elevates his songs. There's just so much more emotion and depth, I think, that the studio versions never quite capture. And it sounds like he might be doing another online concert, so hopefully that's in the works. And we get to hear more of these songs performed live, because he did perform some of these live, or at least snippets of them, during that live premiere event. And the other thing I've really appreciated with this promotion cycle is that they've really been highlighting JUN's producing skills with his lyrics and composition for most of these tracks. They actually released a album commentary where he sat down with multiple people he worked with on these songs, talking about each song individually and just his producing skills as a whole. It was just really pleasing to watch that, and really interesting to see sort of what he was thinking when he was making these songs. So if you haven't seen that yet, I highly recommend it. And I think they also did this on purpose, but it's also conveniently 20 minutes long. So definitely well worth your time, and appropriate as a commentary for his 20 minutes album. So I'm not going to go into what the songs mean, because that commentary video will tell you. So I think this album just does a really good job bringing together so many different relatable themes. Like with Home, you have feelings of loneliness. Sketchbook is feelings of relationships and starting over. And track 4 is supposed to be kind of playful and naive, though this is Slip Inside, by the way. They don't have the English names next to the tracks here. But Slip Inside here, he described it as a cute song, but I think most of us don't really have that impression. It sounds a lot more sexual than how he was describing it in that commentary. And when it comes to my favorite song, it's probably track 5, Parallel Lines, which apparently is also JUN's mom's and brother's favorite song. He revealed in one of his interviews. But when you listen through the track list, it's really hard to pick a favorite. I think all the songs just flow really well together and just gives you different dimensions and feelings while listening to this album. And I do really like how he included Comma, track 6, and Miss No Time, the Korean versions. And I think they have worked really well here. I know there's this sort of stigma for doing either a Japanese version or a Korean version on new albums of songs that have already been released. But for myself, and I think a lot of other people who like 2PM's music, we really like hearing the original versions of these songs, because they're usually released in Japan first. But from my understanding, they're actually written in Korean first, because the members write the lyrics, and that's of course their native language. So it's really interesting to hear these original versions. And I think both versions are good. They both have sort of slightly different qualities to them, but I usually kind of go back and forth choosing which one's my favorite between the two languages. I'm a little sad that we didn't get, this is not a song on this physical album, either as like a hidden track or track 8. I understand maybe why not. I think they're saving both the Korean and Japanese versions for that postponed album that's supposed to be releasing in Japan next year. So hopefully both of those versions will be on there, either through a fan club version or the limited edition or something. But hopefully we'll get that someday. And JUN mentioned in his commentary video, which I guess I will just link it down below so you guys could easily find it if you haven't watched it yet, that all the members seem really excited for their comeback next year. And now that Chansung is back early from his military services due to the current military regulations, we just have Junho left, which means that we should have an OT6 album very soon, which is something that a lot of us have been waiting for, and I think it's going to take me a while to process that it's so soon, but I'm really excited when we get to hear new music, and I really hope that as a follow-up to the resurgence we've had with My House, it'll be another hit for them, so they can continue to do well in Korea and globally all around the world. But that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoy this unboxing. I highly recommend this album if you haven't listened to it yet. You can listen to this album on Spotify or buy the physical edition from your favorite retailer. And until my next video, bye guys.